Welcome to Shaolin Temple, Batman. Your message spoke of threat requiring warrior discipline and detective insight. I've trained here since childhood, learning to balance warrior's power with monk's wisdom. Few outsiders understand what it means to fight for protection rather than conquest. What brings Detective of Gotham to consult Warrior of Earthrealm?
I appreciate the sanctuary. The discipline evident here reminds me why I train constantly. I'm here because you understand enemies who hide behind armor and technology, while commanding loyal soldiers through fear and intimidation. Oroku Saki, called the Shredder. Ninja master who rules criminal underworld through brutal authority. He's trained assassins since childhood like weapons. His soldiers worship him through terror and indoctrination.
That's perversion of what martial arts training should accomplish. True warrior trains students to think independently and choose their path. This Shredder sounds like he's created army of mindless weapons incapable of questioning him. That approach is brittle despite appearing strong. When followers are driven by fear alone, they break under sufficient pressure. But armor and technology complicate engagement. What are his specific capabilities?
Shredder wears armor covered in razor-sharp blades and spikes. He's master martial artist trained in multiple disciplines. His armor enhances strength and provides protection against conventional weapons. He commands hundreds of ninja soldiers absolutely loyal to him. They execute his orders without hesitation or moral consideration. His criminal empire controls significant territory through violence and intimidation. Unlike most crime bosses focused on profit, Shredder seeks absolute power and domination. He wants to reshape society under his control.
That's a dangerous combination, because followers don't question orders, they're afraid to disobey. But armor-dependent warrior has vulnerability if we can separate him from it. Relying on external technology to enhance abilities means removing technology removes advantage. How heavy is his armor? Can he function without it, or is he dependent on mechanical assistance for basic movement?
Shredder can function without armor, but loses significant capability. He's still dangerous martial artist, but without armor enhancements, he's vulnerable to damage and attack. My plan focuses on separating him from armor, while simultaneously breaking psychological control over his followers. If his soldiers see their master defeated without armor, if they witness his vulnerability, fear-based loyalty collapses. Followers driven by terror become unreliable when terror source appears mortal and beatable.
Shredder won't voluntarily remove armor or allow himself to appear weak before followers. He'll hide any damage or vulnerability to maintain image of invincibility. How do you force him into a situation where armor removal becomes necessary? You can't just ask him to take it off. He needs motivation to expose himself, despite knowing it weakens him.
I'm positioning his most trusted lieutenant in position to challenge him. A warrior within his own organization. If that lieutenant publicly suggests Shredder is afraid to fight without technological advantage, if he implies the armor makes Shredder less impressive warrior than he claims, Shredder's pride forces response. He'll remove armor to prove his martial skill doesn't depend on technology. That's when we move. Armorless Shredder is beatable through combined martial training and tactical advantage.
Clever but risky. Challenged warrior responds with rage rather than logic. Armorless Shredder without technological advantage becomes unpredictable and dangerous in different way. Desperate warrior fights with intensity driven by wounded pride. Have you prepared for Shredder becoming more vicious when forced to prove himself through pure martial skill? Pride-driven combat is often most destructive because warrior throws caution away to regain honor.
Let's get Robin's input.
The Shredder built entire identity around being undefeatable warrior. His soldiers serve him because he appears superhuman and unstoppable. But his armor actually undermines his reputation. If he truly believed in his martial skill, he wouldn't need armor for protection. The best warriors are confident enough to fight without technological advantage. If we can convince both Shredder and his followers that his armor proves his insecurity rather than his strength, we've already won psychologically. The actual fight becomes secondary to perception battle.
Warriors are vulnerable to attacks on their reputation and honor. If Shredder's followers begin believing armor represents fear and insecurity, his authority erodes before physical confrontation even begins. But shifting perception requires control of narrative. How do you ensure message reaches followers without Shredder suppressing it? He'll likely execute anyone spreading doubt about his image. You'd need followers brave enough to risk death spreading alternative perspective.
I've been working with resistance movement within Shredder's organization. Ninja soldiers who question his leadership but are too frightened to act alone. They'll spread perception shift quietly through underground communication channels. Meanwhile, I'll position the Lieutenant challenge publicly, forcing Shredder to respond before he can suppress resistance movement. He has to remove armor immediately. By the time he realizes what's happening, his authority is already crumbling internally, and we're engaging him tactically.
He's simultaneously losing authority from within while being forced into confrontation without armor protection. That's sophisticated coordination requiring precise timing across multiple fronts. But if any element fails, entire operation collapses. If resistance movement is discovered and suppressed, if Lieutenant Challenge fails to provoke Shredder, if armor-less Shredder proves more dangerous than predicted, we're in catastrophic situation. What's your contingency for operational failure?
Master Bruce, Liu Kang. I've been monitoring this discussion's complexity. You're coordinating internal resistance movement, orchestrating public challenge through positioned lieutenant, managing perception warfare while preparing for direct martial confrontation. This operation has numerous failure points and depends on psychological factors you cannot fully control. If Shredder anticipates psychological manipulation, he might eliminate entire resistance movement preemptively. What contingency addresses catastrophic discovery of your infiltration?
If resistance movement is discovered, we accelerate public challenge immediately. Shredder will be focused on purging internal threats, distracted from typical operations. That's when Lieutenant issues public challenge regardless of readiness. Shredder will respond because his authority is questioned during vulnerable moment. We proceed with contingency operation, using less prepared resistance support. It's riskier, but still achievable. Primary goal is separating Shredder from armor and followers from their leader. We achieve that regardless of which path we take.
Acceptable contingency. I'll train with you to ensure we match his martial skill. Between Shaolin discipline and Detective's tactical thinking, we overcome pride-driven warrior. His followers, once freed from fear and witnessing leader's vulnerability, will either flee or join us against him. This criminal empire built on terror collapses once terror's source is revealed as mortal. Let's prepare this temple as training ground and draw Shredder into conflict he cannot escape.